What's up, everyone, and welcome to our final episode of our Clone Wars Chronological Rewatch. We did it. It only took 4.5 years.
We did it, Joe.
We're only like 3.5 years over schedule of when we were hoping to be done.
Look.
Not bad.
Not too bad.
Not bad.
You guys have enjoyed it, right?
The people who are still watching along.
We've had people forget that we're doing it, and then every time we bring it back, it's a surprise.
Yeah.
But now we're done.
Now it's done. We've reached the end. We'll talk about what we learned at the end of this episode. But for now, we're talking about the Season 6 finale, which was originally the series finale, called Sacrifice. And the theme for this episode is facing all that you fear will free you from yourself, which I think is a good summary for this arc of the Clone Wars, maybe the Clone Wars as a whole, or even Star Wars as a whole. I mean, just fear being the root of the dark side. That's something that the Force priestesses brought up to Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
And facing your fears, conquering them, will help keep you away from the dark side.
Right.
So the last thing that the Force priestesses send Yoda to do is he has to go to Moraband or Korriban, whichever you want to call it. I'm more of a Korriban guy myself.
Moribund all the way.
Okay.
I
Yeah, you didn't grow up with KOTOR, so it's just one of those things where I know George Lucas had a reason for changing it, but I don't remember what it is.
So, well, in Legends, was this like the birthplace of the Sith?
Yes, it was the homeworld of the Sith species.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where the Sith Order as we know it rose to power.
But so the Sith species isn't necessarily canon anymore. So
No.
This planet now is just like a fully corrupted dark side planet.
Yeah, it's just another kind of like Exegol. Just the Sith made a fortress here. They have a bunch of tombs there, as we see.
And they did some shady stuff.
Yeah, as the Sith are wont to do. So we go straight to Darth Bane's tomb. And I want to just say that Korriban and Moraband as names are both canon now. So either way you like it, it works.
Yeah.
But Yoda goes to Darth Bane's tomb and has to first face him like one of the greatest Sith of all time, even though it's just an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real. It's not an actual Force ghost.
And he's got like cool armor too. Like we talked about this a little bit when we did the commentary, but like the armor that he's wearing, it doesn't look like what we know Darth Bane to look like from Legends.
Yeah, which is interesting. And I wonder, well, first of all, we know that they kind of modeled Bane for the Mortis arc and then decided not to go that direction. But I kind of wonder if Yoda even knows what Bane looks like. So if this is an illusion, which it is, like Yoda is kind of manifesting this look himself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yoda thinks anyone who isn't green and small, they all look the same.
just he doesn't know what his face looks like, so he just slaps some armor on him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has to reject that image of Darth Bane and continue into Moraband.
Ooh, maybe it was like an artistic version of Darth Bane that Yoda had seen in books
I think that's possible.
growing up.
Exactly.
So like that's his scariest version of Bane in his mind, is seeing those like painted images from back then. Maybe.
I think that works because Yoda would have been born 100 or so years after Darth Bane died. So it's not like they ever met.
Yeah.
He knows Darth Bane's legacy, which is kind of what these episodes are about.
Mhm.
But as he ventures deeper into Moraband, he is warned that the Sith are going to be able to sense his presence there. And so that's when like Sidious and Dooku try to mentally break him and enter his mind and give him this Force vision, which I thought was really well done. Because again, it like the last episode, I feel like they do a good job of putting the audience in Yoda's shoes, where you're like, what is happening?
His robes. He doesn't wear shoes.
That's true. His little green feet. So as the audience, I'm like, what is real and what's happening? Like, I know that this is supposed to be a vision, but we're also seeing Dooku and Sidious, like where we know they really are, and they're doing what we know they're doing. So
but
it's
they
just
don't
a very
know that we know that
Yeah.
they know.
It's a very interesting position for us to be in as the audience.
Yeah. It's again, just like the last one, it's very trippy. Yoda's just getting put through the ringer. But he knew that was what was going to happen.
Yeah, but like he's clearly confused.
Yeah.
Which, like, I think that just worked really well. He's confused. I'm confused. And that's what they wanted the audience to feel. So basically, he's on a mission with Anakin and Rex to go find the Sith and take them out. And we get some like cool little fights. We see Anakin beheading Dooku the way that he does in Revenge of the Sith. And Yoda tries to stop him, but also, like, before they go in, he basically says, kill him if you have to. Yoda gives that order. He's like, they can't escape. Mm-hmm. And, like, use lethal force if necessary. I can't remember the exact words, but I remember Anakin doing that and Yoda being like, no. And I'm like, you told him to do that.
Well, maybe Yoda was like, I didn't mean Dooku. Come on now.
Well, I think that could be kind of a metaphorical state of Yoda's mind where he led the Jedi, so he is he's not responsible for the Clone Wars, but he probably feels some responsibility for the way that the Jedi changed over their course.
Yeah, like all the high-ranking Jedi were kind of some of the main leaders of the war.
Right.
So it makes sense that him and many other Jedi would feel a responsibility for a lot that happened.
And like Anakin, when the time actually does come, he knows it's not right to kill Dooku. He struggles with it, but he does it. And it's like, in a way, I think he was learning from example. And it's just that the role of a Jedi became more violent over the course of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And Yoda comments on that at the end of the episode. But he continues on to fight Sidious in this very drawn out fight until Anakin gets there to help. And Sidious basically gives Yoda this choice to either come get me, take out the Sith, find out who I am. Like, those are all the things that Yoda wants. Or save Skywalker. Like, he incapacitates Anakin and has him dangling over the edge. And Yoda has to give up his desires to save Anakin. Like, that's the choice he makes, which ultimately is the Sith being unable to break him.
Yeah. And it seems like by that point, it's an easy decision for Yoda.
I think he struggles with it.
Well, like throughout the fight, yes, but in the end, it seems like he knows what the right thing to do is.
That is his final test. And he's like, this is the right thing. I can't go after what I want in this moment. I will save Anakin, even though, like, part of me wonders if Yoda knows Anakin is headed towards darkness. And it's like, I'm not ready to give up on him. I will do everything I can to still try to save him.
Right.
So that's kind of the whole vision. And he goes back to the Jedi Temple and then has a short little discussion with Mace and Obi-Wan where he doesn't, like, tell them what he witnessed or saw. He keeps that all to himself and is basically just like, I don't think it's possible to win a war anymore, like, fully. You can be the victors, but just by war happening at all, like, that's a failure. Yeah.
Maybe he just thinks that, like, it's too much just for one being to explain to other beings. Maybe he, in his mind, is like, all right, they have to go through their own journeys through all this. I've gone through mine. I'm at a loss for words now.
Yeah.
Almost.
I mean, I can kind of see that. Just how do you describe what you saw and what you learned? Like, he expresses what he learned.
Right.
But it's just that he doesn't know what the future holds, and he's going to do everything he can to keep the Jedi going. But I get this weird sense like he knows what's coming in a way. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's a very ambiguous ending. And we talked about in our last episode that we would talk about this. Like, if that were the end of the series, that would have felt crazy for me.
Yeah. It does seem very abrupt, and you've got this series called The Clone Wars that ends with, so are we going to win this or what? And he's like, I don't know.
It's an interesting Star Wars thing. Like, the fact that we do have a series finale baked in because Revenge of the Sith existed. So it's like they could and did just stop there. And we were like, okay, well, we know how it ends, so it's all right. But as a TV show, I would have been like, what?
Yeah. I mean, think of all the kids that grew up watching this show that probably saw the prequels, but were so invested in the show more so than the prequels.
And that's why I'm so glad that we got the Clone Wars Season 7. We got those final 12 episodes, and especially the Siege of Mandalore, to bring everything home with all of the characters. Like that felt like a finale. This one, it felt like it had some resolution, but it wouldn't have without Revenge of the Sith. It's very interesting.
It felt like it kind of went out on a little bit of a fizzle. Like, I love these episodes. That it's got some of like the juiciest Star Wars lore and history in it. But yeah, that final scene kind of leaves you with like this, okay, that's the end.
It's weird where like I feel like it gives you this sense of hope, but also we the audience know where it's all going.
Yeah.
But he's also like, Yoda gets part of the vision. He hears there is another Skywalker, and he basically, I think, has this understanding they're probably not going to win the Clone Wars. But the war between good and evil is not lost, and will continue on. Because
now he knows, like, in that vision, he chooses to save Anakin. So he knows that there's a bigger picture here, and like where he should put his energy.
Yeah.
And so he gets back, and they're like, so what, this war? And he's like, nah.
Yeah, war's over.
That ain't even it.
Yeah, he does basically say that. Ain't even it, this is. He said it weird, but...
Yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet.
But that's it. That's the end of the Clone Wars Season 6 and our chronological rewatch, as we had planned to do it. We are going to wrap that up. Next, we're going to cover Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
We are going to rewatch Star Wars Rebels, and we're going to cover it before Ahsoka comes out. That's the plan. But we're not going to do it...
Cut to 5 years later.
Yeah, we're not going to do it an episode at a time. We're going to cover it in the 4 weeks leading up to Ahsoka, and we're going to cover it a season at a time.
Yes.
I think that makes more sense.
We're going to cover like the big hits, the major plot points, people's major story arcs. Yeah, basically one season at a time. So 4 weeks leading into Ahsoka, we'll have lots of fun Rebels content.
Yeah, and we haven't rewatched Rebels since it was on. A couple episodes here or there, but not straight through.
I don't even remember season 1 of Rebels that well, honestly. I'm so excited to watch it again.
I remember big moments and certain episodes, but not a lot of the in-between. So I agree. I'm excited.
I'm ready to fall in love with those characters again, more so this time around, because the first time we watched it was forever ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like I care more about them now, knowing so much more about them now.
And also, like, that was my first Star Wars full animated series, not including the 2D Clone Wars. But Rebels was, like, my introduction to animated Star Wars. And so I'm excited to look on it with more grown-up eyes, more accepting eyes. But
let me look on you with my own eyes.
Yeah, exactly. My adult eyes, my special eyes. But we need to wrap it up for the Clone Wars. Thank you all for watching. If you watched all of them, kudos to you. Let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments if you have watched and followed along with us through this insanely long, drawn-out journey. We apologize that it took this long, but hopefully you got excited, and every time these videos popped back up and you're like, hey, they're still doing it.
I'm excited that we finally finished it. We finished Season 6 just in time for Season 7 to start. Look at us. But that's it for today. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.